Hello, lovely listeners. I'm Julia, who will help you relax and fall asleep tonight. What time is it for you right now? And what's one thing you're grateful for today? Write it in the comments. In a small, weather-beaten hovel by the restless sea lived a humble fisherman named Tomas and his devoted wife, Marisela. Their dwelling, built of worn planks and patched membranes, clung precariously to a wind-swept cliff near the shore. Every morning, Tomas rose with the pale light of dawn, venturing into the churning waters in a slender boat that had long seen better days. The sea was both his livelihood and his constant companion, a vast, unpredictable force whose moods could shift in an instant from gentle caresses to violent storms. Marisela, with her eyes like the stormy skies above, managed their modest home with quiet strength. Even though their possessions were few and their means limited, she nurtured a fervent hope for a life of comfort and security. Every day, Tomas would cast his net into the deep, pondering the mysteries that lay beneath the shimmering surface. He was a man of simple dreams and hard, honest labor. The villagers often whispered that the sea had a soul, a secret rhythm of its own, and Tomas felt a kinship with that mysterious force. In the evenings, as the sun dipped low over the horizon, painting the sky in hues of crimson and gold, Tomas and Marisela would sit outside their humble hovel and watch the delicate interplay between light and shadow, their hearts filled with quiet gratitude despite the hardships they faced. Life, however, weighed heavily upon them. Their small home offered little comfort against the ceaseless wind and the salt that corroded every metal and timber. Yet in those challenging moments, Marisela's dreams soared high. Dreams of a spacious cottage with warm stone walls, a roof that kept the rain at bay, and windows that looked out onto a tranquil garden. She would often tease Tomas with gentle laughter, saying, "One day, my love, the world will open its arms to us, and our home will be as radiant as our hopes." Tomas, though skeptical of grand promises, was always moved by the brightness in her eyes and the earnest lift of her voice. Even as the days passed, marked by the rhythmic rise and fall of the tide, an undercurrent of wonder began to weave itself into the fabric of their existence. Rumors had long circulated among the coastal folk about marvelous creatures that dwelled beneath the waves, creatures of magic and mystery. Some said that on certain rare mornings, a glimmering form could be seen dancing on the surface, an envoy of the deep carrying with it secrets of enchanted wishes and celestial rewards. Tomas, being a man of the sea, regarded such tales with a mixture of amusement and wistfulness, though he often wondered deep in his heart if perhaps one day the sea might reveal one of its hidden miracles. As the long, arduous days gave way to the peaceful embrace of twilight, Tomas's thoughts often wandered to dreams of a brighter future, one where the hardships of poverty would be washed away like sea foam on the shore. He never complained, for he understood the fickle nature of fate. Instead, he labored steadily, each cast of his net an act of hope. Marisela, with her keen intuition and unyielding spirit, became the keeper of these dreams. In quiet moments, while Tomas mended his nets under the gray sky, she would sit on a creaking wooden stool near the back door of their hovel and sing softly to herself. Her melodies spoke of promise, of days when their worries would vanish like the retreating tide, leaving behind a bounty of blessings as endless as the expanse of the ocean. This modest existence, though fraught with toil and struggle, was imbued with an ineffable beauty. The brine in the air, the cry of distant gulls, the relentless march of the waves, all coalesced into a symphony of life. Tomas's calloused hands and Marisela's gentle smiles were testimony to a life lived in earnest communion with nature. They understood that every hardship carried its own lesson. Every gust of wind whispered forgotten truths, and every shimmering sunrise promised a new beginning. Their souls, much like the vast eternal sea, were at once tempestuous and serene, carrying within them the fragile hope of transformation, even if only in dreams. On many a restless night, when the moon cast silver beams upon the stormy water, and the waves murmured secrets to the shore, Tomas would lie awake on the creaky, uneven floor of their hovel, his mind adrift in a sea of possibility. He imagined a future where their modest life might blossom into one of gentle prosperity, a future in which Marisela's dreams would dance like fireflies in the warm summer air, and every sunrise heralded new hope and renewal. In these quiet moments, he felt as though fate was whispering in his ear, urging him onward toward an unknown destiny. One fateful morning, as a pale mist hovered over the sea and the horizon blurred into a watercolor of soft pastels, Tomas set out on his time-worn boat with his heart quietly hopeful yet unassuming. The ocean was unusually calm, as if it too sensed that something extraordinary might be about to unfold. With practiced hands, Tomas cast his fishing line into the shimmering waves, his eyes scanning the surface for any glimmer of movement. As the gentle current caressed the boat, a sudden tug on his line startled him, a pull both firm and insistent, as though beckoning him to come closer to its hidden mystery. With measured caution, Tomas reeled in his line, his weathered fingers steady despite the surge of adrenaline in his veins. After a few tense moments, a gleaming fish broke the surface, a flounder with scales that glistened like liquid silver in the soft morning light. Its eyes were deep and knowing, carrying an intelligence far beyond that of an ordinary fish. Before Tomas could fully process the magnificence of the creature, it opened its mouth and spoke in a voice as clear and musical as wind chimes. "Kind soul, release me back into the boundless sea, and I shall grant you wishes beyond your wildest imagining." For a moment, Tomas froze in disbelief. He had heard the whispers of magic in the wind and the lore of mermaids and enchanted beings, yet never had he imagined such marvel would grace his solitary journey. The gentle, insistent voice mingled with the sound of the water and the call of distant seagulls. The flounder, wriggling its silvery fins, continued, "I am not an ordinary fish. I carry with me the power of ancient tides, and my heart is bound by no earthly limitations. Set me free, and your heart's desires shall be reached." Tomas, who had always been a man of compassion and modesty, found his doubts melting away in the light of such an earnest plea. The prospect of magic, a miraculous change in their mundane lives, stirred a hopeful tremor within him, though he felt a natural hesitance to alter the order of things. Yet the fish's gentle eyes and soft, pleading tone compelled him. He could not summon cruelty when faced with such a supplicant. With an unspoken prayer and trembling hands, he unknotted the line and lowered the flounder gently into the waters, watching as it gracefully swam away into the embrace of the sea. As soon as the fish disappeared, the morning air seemed to shimmer with a new intensity. Though unsure of what to expect, Tomas felt that he had completed a task with honor and kindness. His heart pounded with a mixture of awe and humility as he steered his boat back toward the shore. The world around him appeared subtly altered. The routine murmur of the waves, the soft rustle of the wind carrying tales of wonder, and even the light itself seemed imbued with a secret promise. With every stroke of the oar, Tomas contemplated the possibility that his life might take an unexpected turn. As tales of miraculous events wove their way into the tapestry of coastal lore, Tomas began to wonder if the encounter was not mere chance, but part of a grand, unseen design. The flounder's parting words reverberated in his thoughts, filling him with a persistent hope that perhaps the magic of the sea had chosen him for a brief moment of enchantment. Though his mind wrestled with the idea that the natural order should not be disturbed, a flicker of yearning pushed aside his reservations. Across the glistening expanse, the ocean seemed to sing a lullaby of promises, enticing him with possibilities that transcended mortal life. He returned to the hovel with deep reverence for the mysterious encounter. That very afternoon, as he recounted his experience to a quietly astonished Marisela, her eyes widened with disbelief mingled with excitement. "Tomas, you must have asked the fish for something wonderful, haven't you?" she exclaimed. But Tomas, his voice soft and measured, replied, "I could not ask for more than to do what is right. I freed a creature in need, and that is a blessing in itself." His words, however, only fanned the flames of Marisela's ambitions, a spark that would soon set their lives on a curious, inexorable path toward change and desire. That evening, as dusk enveloped the sea in a cloak of indigo, a fervid discussion about the potential of the magical fish began in earnest between Tomas and Marisela. Marisela, still aglow with the vivid excitement of the miraculous encounter, insisted that they should seize the opportunity. "Tomas, why did you not ask the flounder to make our life better right then?" she urged, her voice quivering with both eagerness and a hint of impatience. "I believe a kitchen with a proper hearth, a sturdy roof above our heads, and walls that keep out the bitter cold can be ours if you but ask for it." Tomas, torn between his inherent kindness and his cautious nature, replied gently, "But my love, the fish has already granted its promise. We must be careful not to disturb the natural flow of magic. Perhaps we should be content with the blessings already bestowed upon us." Yet the seeds of desire had been sown in Marisela's heart, and the evening gave way to a restless night filled with vivid dreams of a brighter, warmer home. As dawn broke over the horizon, Tomas, wrapped in the quiet uncertainty of his own thoughts, found himself compelled by Marisela's persistent requests. With a heavy heart and a solemn duty to honor this strange encounter, while placating his wife's fervent ambitions, he rode once more to the edge of the foaming sea. The waters that day were not as clear as before. A murky stain had marred their once translucent surface, as if mourning the interrupted magic of the fish. With each stroke of his oars, echoes of his earlier conviction mingled with apprehension at the thought of challenging fate itself. Standing at the water's edge, Tomas looked out over the dark, turbulent waves and recited a simple, heartfelt rhyme, a summoning plea fashioned in the silent hours of his doubts. His voice, carried across the choppy sea, seemed to invoke something ancient and binding. "O wondrous flounder, spirit of the deep, return to us a kindness to keep. Let our humble hovel be reborn anew, with walls of stone and a roof so true." The words, imbued with both hope and trepidation, dissolved into the salty air. For a fleeting moment, the sea responded with a resonant hum, rippling with an unseen force vibrating beneath its surface. With the passing hours, the coastal winds held their breath in anticipation of transformation. In the distance, where dark water met the sky, a soft glow began to flicker. Returning home later that day, Tomas found his dilapidated hovel transformed. In place of rough-hewn planks and fragile timbers stood a stout little house with well-carved stone walls, a tiled roof promising shelter from even the harshest rains, and small, precisely cut windows through which light poured like liquid gold. Marisela, beholding the miracle, burst into jubilant tears of joy. "Oh, Tomas, can you see it? Our dreams, once mere whispers in the wind, have taken form before our very eyes. This is but the first step toward the life we deserve," she cried, her voice trembling with unbridled delight. Yet even as Marisela celebrated their newfound fortune, Tomas's heart harbored a deep foreboding. The echo of the flounder's words, "She has it already," lingered in his ears, a reminder that even magic has its limits. He sensed that the palace, for all its beauty, might not be a bounty freely given by fate, but a precursor to unwise bargaining. Still, as Marisela danced through the lavish halls and her laughter rang out along every gilded corridor, Tomas could only offer a soft, weary smile. "May we learn to treasure what is bestowed without greed," he murmured silently, though his heart ached with an unspoken warning. In the days that followed, the peaceful wonder of the palace quickly gave way to an insatiable hunger for grandeur. Marisela, her spirit now aflame with ambition, began to craft new desires with a clarity and force that startled even the most seasoned dreamers of the village. "Tomas," she proclaimed one bright morning as she roamed the newly adorned corridors of their palace, "our destiny cannot be contained by the walls of a mere palace. I desire to be more. I wish to be a queen, not in name alone, but in the fullness of power. Let our fate be sealed with the splendor of a monarchy, for only then will our lives truly reflect the majesty we hold within." Her tone, both commanding and tender, left Tomas with a profound sense of foreboding. In the bright glimmer of her eyes, he saw that ambition had supplanted contentment, and the magic of the sea was becoming a tool for endless appropriation. That very day, Tomas once again took his boat into the restless sea, the water now a mirror of the chaos brewing within him. With a heavy heart, he recited a prayer to the ancient depths, a rhyme carrying not only hope but an undercurrent of regret. "O mystical flounder, keeper of the tides, return to us an even greater stride. Transform our fortunes as you did before. Make our humble realm a kingdom to adore." His voice was barely above a whisper, tangled with sorrow, as he awaited the fateful response from the deep. The sea churned ominously, and for a moment, all the sky seemed to hold its breath in anticipation of what would come next. Minutes stretched into endless silence. Then, with a flash of brilliance that split the heavens, the flounder emerged once more. Its eyes, like pools of ancient wisdom, regarded Tomas with a mixture of pity and resolve. "Go home," it intoned softly, its voice layered with both compassion and warning, "for she already holds the bounty of her desires." With those words echoing in the salt-laden air, the sea roiled with a fury that mirrored the tumult inside Tomas's heart. The world around him shimmered and twisted, and when he returned to shore, the transformation was both astonishing and sorrowful. In place of the palace, the structure now shifted into the regal trappings of a monarchy. The once modest palace had expanded into a vast castle, set amidst lush gardens, complete with gleaming towers, flowing fountains, and courtyards exuding royal dignity. Marisela, in luminous attire that spoke of authority and grandeur, proclaimed herself a queen in both beauty and power. Yet her ambitions did not cease there. Like a flame that refused to be quenched, she demanded even more, calling upon the divine right to rule not just as queen, but to ascend to the imperial throne, commanding realms beyond the horizon. Emboldened by her own reflection in the polished mirrors of the castle's grand hall, she admonished Tomas with unwavering resolve. "You must return to the sea, dear husband, and ask the flounder that I be made king. No, further still, I demand that I be crowned emperor, sovereign of all the lands and seas." Her voice rang out like an edict from marble pillars. Wearied by the relentless cycle of wishes, Tomas felt his soul shrinking under the magnitude of her vanity. "Must our ambitions know no bounds?" he whispered to himself, his heart heavy with sorrow for the beautiful simplicity they once cherished. Despite his inner turmoil, Tomas obeyed the unspoken command that had taken hold of their lives. Once more, he ventured into the frothing, darkened sea. With a trembling voice, he recited a variant of his earlier plea, this time laden with the bitter taste of regret. "O enigmatic flounder, guardian of wishful tides, transform our state as you have before, and let her become the ruler of worlds, the emperor of destiny." Yet, as always, the flounder's reply came with a heartbreaking brevity, a somber affirmation that her desires had been fulfilled. "Go home," it murmured, "for she has it already." The subsequent morning dawned with a chill that whispered of retribution and a sky heavy with unspoken omens. Marisela, now insatiable in her quest for greater dominion, cast aside the grandeur of queenship and emperorship for a desire even more daunting. Her eyes, once alight with the thrill of momentary conquests, now burned with a zeal that could rival the fiercest of celestial fires. "Tomas," she declared with a voice trembling between defiance and despair, "I demand to be made equal to God, the supreme architect of the heavens and the earth, the one who commands the stars and the very fabric of existence." Her proclamation sliced through the delicate remnants of their once simple life, as if cleaving it in two. Tomas, whose heart had borne the weight of innumerable wishes, now felt overwhelming melancholy at the thought of what they risked. He remembered the gentle caution of the sea, its soft murmurings urging restraint, yet feared that defiance would only fuel the insatiable hunger in his wife's soul. With reluctance mingled with resignation, he understood that his duty was to obey, for her relentless desires had already set their course upon a dangerous path. That day, burdened by despair and the deep disquiet of impending consequences, Tomas set out once more into the swirling, tempestuous sea. The waters were rougher than ever, as if stirred by the hand of chaos itself. Each stroke of his oars was laborious, laden with sorrow and dread. He muttered an incantation, an old sailor's prayer learned in the quiet moments before a storm, a prayer not for victory but for forgiveness. "O mighty flounder, spirit of the boundless deep, grant us one final boon. Transform our fate so that my dear Marisela may ascend to the heights of divinity, transcending mortal bounds, and share in the power of the gods." His quavering voice, filled with a bitter taste of regret, echoed over the tumultuous waves. For what felt like an eternity, the world held its breath. The sea surged and raged, its roar rising to a crescendo that overwhelmed the crashing waves. In that agonizing pause, as dark clouds roiled above in a dance of impending doom, Tomas prayed silently for a chance at redemption, a plea for the magic to relent before the immutable cosmic order. In the heart of the storm, a figure shimmered into view. It was the flounder, resplendent with an otherworldly luminescence that defied mortal description, its eyes as deep and inscrutable as the void between galaxies. The flounder regarded Tomas with a sadness etched into its very being. "Return home," it intoned in a voice resonant with both the fury of the oceans and the calm of forgotten eons, "for she has it already." Those stark, final words reverberated in the roaring tempest and in the depths of Tomas's soul. With trembling hands and a heart burdened by fate, he turned his boat back toward the shore. The journey was arduous, each wave a reminder of the cost of unchecked ambition and of the immutable order of the universe. When he finally reached the transformed land, he found that the towering grandeur of their prior wishes had dissolved like mist under the morning sun. Their splendid castle, once a monument to unbridled desire, had been replaced by the familiar, humble hovel, dilapidated and unadorned, just as it had been before any magic had intervened. In the quiet aftermath, as the storm subsided and the murmuring sea regained its gentle rhythm, Marisela stood at the doorway of their old home, her eyes vacant and her spirit as weathered as the worn planks that formed the hovel. Tomas approached her slowly, his voice barely more than a whisper. "My love, had we ventured too far in our desires, perhaps we have lost something that cannot be reclaimed." Marisela, with a melancholy sigh, could only nod in resignation, her dreams shattered like fragile glass. Thus, the final wish had been made. The desperate bid to become equal to God had returned them to the stark reality from whence they came. The sea, in its infinite wisdom, had answered with the same refrain as before, a solemn reminder that human ambition must bow to the natural order. And so, with the ebbing of the magical tempest, Tomas and Marisela found themselves once more in the embrace of their old humble hovel, the one constant amid ever-changing tides. In that minimal shelter, devoid of all opulence, they discovered a somber acceptance, a recognition that life, in its simplicity, held a beauty that no power or privilege could replicate. At dusk, as the sea murmured ancient promises and the sky softened, Tomas and Marisela sat in quiet reflection outside their humble hovel. The dazzling illusions of power and ambition had crumbled, leaving them with the stark truth that true contentment lies in simplicity, not in grand possessions. In that still moment, they recognized the fragile beauty of a life unadorned by excessive desire. United in their newfound understanding, they embraced the modest shelter as a sanctuary of genuine love and acceptance. The lessons of their journey, marked by soaring hopes and deep regrets, imbued their souls with a solemn wisdom. In the gentle night, as stars emerged silently above, they found solace in the simplicity of their existence. They whispered softly, grateful for life's humble gifts indeed. Sweet dreams, good night.